I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
Это как раз сейчас перемены, которые не было в течение 100 лет. Как вместе двигаем эти перемены. Перекиньте, пожалуйста, дорогой друг.
I like to remind them of President Xi of China's trip to Russia last year. When President Xi stood next to Vladimir Putin, he had an open mic, and he said, "Change is coming that hasn't happened in 100 years, and we are driving this change together." The we is Vladimir Putin and President Xi, and the 100 years, we know what that is. That's World War I and World War II. They themselves stood together and articulated that this is a battle between authoritarianism and democracy, and we must stand for democracy and against authoritarianism.
We have now has actually broken down, only we haven't quite recognized it. And so you need to create a new one. And this is the time to do it.
In the United States, how worried are you about the budget deficit and maybe about the possibility of inflation?
Well, certainly a decline in the value of the dollar is necessary in order to compensate for the fact that the U.S. economy will remain rather weak, will be a drag on the global economy. China will emerge as the motor replacing the U.S. consumer. And of course, it's a smaller motor because the Chinese economy is much smaller. So the world economy will have less of a motor. So it will move forward slower than it has in the last 25 years. But China will be the engine driving it forward, and the U.S. will be actually a drag that's being pulled along through a gradual decline in the value of the dollar. So there would be a slow decline in the value of the dollar, a managed decline. And that would be the adjustment that it needs to be accomplished.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And we know Xi told Putin they're going to be doing something that hasn't been done in over 100 years. And we have those drums are beating. We have Putin talking about the new payment system. We have Saudi Arabia joins Enbridge, CBDC testing platform, and then also we're witnessing the fall of the U.S. dollar. And of course, that's the petrodollar. Saudi Arabia no longer needs our defense. Why? Because we're moving over to the fourth industrial revolution. That was the whole point of them making Aramco public, so therefore they had the money to fund this new digital economy. And just like Japan, Singapore, Saudi Arabia is way ahead. And we have Soros talking about the end to the U.S. dollar and the rise of China. And we know China is going to be that new superpower for the fourth industrial revolution. They're going to be leading these machines. And speaking of the machines, the robots, algorithms, and drones are going to take over the economy. And part of that is a military-industrial complex. We know how much money keeps coming in. Remember, the drums are beaten will no longer be physical. It's now going to be Star Wars. Remember, your life is an illusion, and TV is your reality. But like the great Tupac stated, we have plenty of money for war, but can't feed the poor. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows, when it comes to the NWO, It's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Wildcat autonomous aircraft was recently selected by DARPA for further development, and that coming on the heels of the company Switchblade becoming the first drone to be publicly confirmed as part of the Pentagon's high-profile Replicator initiative to field thousands of autonomous vehicles and weapon systems for the military within 2 years.
That's out there. We already and have been producing these things by the thousands today in the past few years. In fact, since Ukraine conflict started, we've delivered over 3,000 of our drones to the U.S. military and to Ukraine and to our allies to help in the conflict with Russia and Ukraine. So we are fortunate because we invested in this ahead of the potential needs 5-6 years ago in anticipation, because we knew that this change in paradigm in military warfare and in warfare in general is coming and is going, and it's inevitable. And that is distributed architecture of intelligent drones and loitering munitions such as Switchblade and our Pumas and Jump 20 systems and many other ground robots that we make. That is a distributed system and architecture of this with massive volume at low cost and intelligent that can operate in denied airspaces and contested battle spaces where there's no GPS, no communications, no RF, will be the next paradigm and is becoming the next paradigm in military warfare. And there is no company out there that's as uniquely positioned and as well positioned as AeroVironment, and we're the leader.
I went to the Pentagon to speak with the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology, Doug Bush. That makes him the Army's top weapons buyer. He confirms what we've heard on Balance of Power, that it's not high-tech weapons, but 155mm shells, old-fashioned mortar rounds that have become critical on the battlefield in Ukraine. The Army's pouring in $5 billion to revitalize factories across the U.S. to make them faster. For context, the U.S. was producing about 14,000 shells per month before Ukraine was invaded. Now, the Army's aiming to ramp up to 100,000 shells per month by the end of next year. The Pentagon is trying to shore up the defense industrial base to make it more flexible and responsive to security threats from Ukraine to Israel and the Indo-Pacific. I asked Doug Bush about whether the U.S. is prepared for all of these challenges.
Once we get the funding from Congress and sufficient latitude, we can go very quick and get a lot done very fast. Industry can still do these things, so that doesn't bother me. I think there's a decision way above me, and it's fundamentally a political decision, is how much funding are we going to apply to this? That's a strategy question.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go, but clearly we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important.
Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books, is time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Tam save New York. From COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.